Beth Combs here. Let me step back so you can actually see me. Hopefully the trash truck isn't making too much noise right now. Good morning. It's Thursday, June 4th. Thanks for joining me today for our 30-minute morning session. And last night I did a core focused practice, and we're going to kind of continue that theme as we get started this morning. So I have a block that I'm possibly going to use, but I've been trying to do more practices that don't involve props, since a lot of you are practicing from home and you might not have access to props for your practice. So we'll go ahead and step onto our mats. And we're gonna go ahead and sit in just regular cross-legged pose. Since my hips are pretty tight all the time, but especially in the morning, I'm gonna actually sit up on a block. You could sit up on a pillow or a bolster or a blanket. So a few different options. Go ahead and get settled in your seated pose here, and we'll talk just a little bit about the third chakra. So our third chakra is the chakra of the will. So last week or the week before, I believe I was talking about the second chakra, which is kind of where our desire lives. And so I think it's really critical. The first chakra is kind of our foundation. The second chakra is where our desire lives. And the third chakra is the will, or fire is the element of the third chakra. Manipura is the Sanskrit word for the third chakra. So I think it's really critical to ground ourselves, to recognize what we desire or what we need, and then to take action. And that's what the third chakra has a lot to do with. And I just feel like that's also something really critical with what's going on in the world right now, that we step up and begin to actually take action. So the third chakra, we're going to work on building up some fire, and then actually trying to hone that energy and focus it concentrate it where we want it to go, where we want, our lives to improve, or those around us, their lives to improve. So we're going to do some core work today to really warm that up, and we'll go ahead and get started. So go ahead and sit on your sits bones. So you really want to be rooting into the block or the mat that you're sitting on, and go ahead and lengthen up the spine all the way out the crown of the head, almost like you have a string pulling from the top of your head up to the sky or the ceiling. You can begin to lengthen your inhales and your exhales. We'll actually take 3 breaths where we're going to inhale through the nose and out the mouth, and that's just to release any tension or anxiety we might have already this morning. So we'll inhale and exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. You can continue exhaling out the mouth if you're feeling, again, particularly anxious or stressed at all. It's great to just release that. It actually helps engage our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest system. So anytime you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, it's actually great to just take a few breaths where you're inhaling and then exhaling out the mouth. You can even place your hands, on your heart or on your womb space, below your belly button, maybe on your belly, wherever you feel a little bit more grounded. So for our traditional yoga breath, the Ujjayi breath, we're going to make sure that we're not clenching our lips or our jaw. We want to release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And we want our exhales to just gently stroke the back of the throat. I like to call this ocean waves or Darth Vader breath. You might be able to relate to that if you're a Star Wars fan. And then we'll go ahead and we'll inhale and lift the left arm up alongside the ear. Exhale and rotate to the right. Place that left hand on the right leg or the right knee. You can place the right fingertips back behind you, but try not to put a lot of weight in that right hand. We don't want to injure our wrist at all. We'll inhale and sit up nice and tall, and then exhale, use the abdominal muscles and rotate to the right. So with each inhale, we sit up taller. With each exhale, we twist a little bit further. Can be just a micro amount. And once you've gone as far as you can gaze over the right shoulder. Remember to continue breathing here. Twists are really good for waking up the abdominals and supporting our digestive systems in particular. Then we'll inhale, we'll come back to center, and then we'll exhale, and then inhale, bring the right arm up alongside the ear. Exhale, rotate over to the left. Place the left fingertips down on the mat. Again, sit up nice and tall on the inhale, and on each exhale, use your abdominals, twist a little bit more to the left. Again, you might notice you feel pretty stiff this morning, so micro movements in your twist are perfectly fine. You're still getting the benefits of the twist. You don't have to crank yourself way far back. And again, once you've gone as far as you feel you can, feel free to gaze over that left shoulder if your neck will allow it. Then we'll inhale and we'll come back to center. And then we're going to just do some Kundalini circles to help wake up the energy at the base of the spine and get it moving up through the back of the head. So we're going to kind of rotate in a circular fashion. So we'll inhale and come forward, and then exhale, pull the belly button towards the spine and come back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. And if you're sitting up on something and you feel a little unstable, you can actually sit flat on the floor. One more time. Inhale forward, exhale back. Come back to center. I'm actually going to do that because this block is just a little too tiny for my butt. So we'll switch directions here. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. 2 more times, following your own breath. And then we'll go ahead and come forward for cat-cow. On our hands and knees in tabletop position. We want the tops of our feet flat on the mat. All 10 toes are touching the mat. We got our wrists lined up underneath our shoulders, and our knees are lined up underneath our hips. So we'll inhale the forehead up and the tailbone up towards the sky. And then exhale, pull the belly button back towards the spine. Inhale to come up. Exhale to pull back. Inhale up. Exhale back. Inhale up. Exhale back. 2 more at your own pace, following your own breath. And then we'll all meet back here at tabletop position. We're going to do some abdominal work next. So we're going to bring the right fingertips out in front of us, bring the left toes back behind us. We're just going to lift the arm for this first round. So we'll inhale, bring the right arm up alongside the right ear, press back through that left heel. You can keep the left toes on the mat. Gaze toward your fingertips out in front. Pull that belly button towards the spine. Then we'll exhale, lower that right hand down, lower the left knee down, and we'll switch sides. So left fingertips out in front, right toes back behind us on the mat. We're going to inhale, lift just the left arm up off the mat. You can still press through that back right heel to keep that left gaze out alongside your left fingertips. Make sure you're pressing up from your right wrist. We don't want any wrist pain here. If you do have any pain, you can always just use a fist instead. Just kind of check in with your body, see what it needs this morning. And then exhale, lower the left hand, lower the right knee, and then we'll combine the arm and the leg both lifting, but we'll start with right fingertips on the mat, left toes back behind us. We'll take an inhale, and on your next exhale, we're going to lift the right arm, and you can always stay here, or you can lift the left leg behind you. So you have to make sure you're pressing through that left heel, you're reaching through those right fingertips, you're pressing up from that left wrist. We're going to take 5 breaths here. And we'll exhale everything down to the mat. Take a breath. And then we'll switch sides. Left fingertips out in front, right toes back behind us. Take an inhale. On your next exhale, lift the left arm. You can always stay here, or you can also lift the right leg. Make sure you're pressing through that right heel, reaching through those left fingertips. We're going to take 5 breaths here. And exhale everything back down to the mat. And then we'll go ahead and lower down into child's pose. So you can bring the knees together and lower the torso down. Reach the arms out in front and the forehead down on the mat. Or you can keep the big toes together. Widen the knees the distance of your mat, or the width of your mat. You can also use a block under your forehead. You're going to reach the hands out in front of you, lift those elbows. You want your tailbone reaching toward your heels. It's okay if they don't get there, they just need to be moving in that direction. Then we'll inhale, we'll come back up to our tabletop. We'll move the block out of the way. And then we're going to move into our first downward facing dog of the day. So from tabletop, you want to walk your hands about a palm's distance further in front of you. We're going to flip the toes so that the bottoms of the toes are on the mat now. And then we're going to inhale and then exhale and pull the hips up towards the sky. Feel free to pedal your feet out here or walk the dog. Feel free to keep your knees bent if the backs of your legs are really tight. Firm those upper arms in towards your ears to really engage the shoulders.
And then we'll walk the feet up in between the hands. And we'll just dangle here. Feel free to bend your knees. You can even bend them enough to where your torso is actually resting on your thighs. You can clasp the elbows and just allow the top of the head to lengthen, the neck to lengthen towards the mat. Switch the clasp of the elbows. And then we'll inhale and we'll sweep the arms up, around, and overhead. Palms touch. And exhale the hands down to heart center. So here in our mountain pose, we want to make sure our weight is even between all four corners of the feet. Give us a good foundation. We want our hips, front hips and frontal rib bones to be pulling in towards each other. That engages the abdominal muscles. Another way you might be able to make that sensation is to lengthen the tailbone down towards the heels. Allow the shoulder blades to glide down the back, so we don't want to be wearing our shoulders like earrings. So just really feeling into that foundation, that strength connected to the earth to kind of build from for the rest of our day. So we're going to go ahead and begin our sun salutations. So we're going to do 3 rounds of sun salutations since we've already been going for a few minutes now. I want to make sure we get to some other poses. So we'll stand with our feet hip width apart, or you can stand with the toes touching, the big toes touching. We'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale and fold forward. You can bend the knees here if you need. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. And then you're going to exhale and you're going to lower down into tabletop position. So I like to make sure my palms are touching the mat before I lower the rest of my body down. And then with the feet flat on the mat, I'm going to lower my torso all the way down. Reach the tailbone towards the heels. Make sure all 10 toes are actually touching the mat. And then you're going to lift the torso and inhale up into cobra. And then you'll exhale, come into tabletop, and then back to downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal the feet out again here, or you can keep the knees bent. You want your weight even between your hands and your feet. And then we'll step the feet up towards the top of the mat in between the hands. We'll inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale and fold forward. Then we'll inhale and we'll sweep the arms up and around. And exhale the hands to heart center. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Again, bend the knees here if you need. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, lower down to tabletop onto the mat. Lower the toes, the tops of the feet onto the mat, and then lower the torso all the way down. All 10 toes touching the mat, tailbone reaching towards the heels. Inhale the torso up to cobra. Exhale, back to downward facing dog through tabletop position. Again, feel free to pedal the feet out here. The weight in your hands, you want mostly between your index finger and your thumb, almost like an L shape. And your fingers are spread nice and wide. You want your heels reaching toward the mat. They may not get there, and that's okay. They just need to be moving in that direction. You actually want to glide your shoulder blades away from your ears, so kind of down the back towards your tailbone. And then we'll step the feet up in between the hands. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend the knees. Inhale, sweep the arms up and around. Exhale the hands to heart center. And we'll do one more round of sun salutations here. So we'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, place the hands on the mat and lower down to tabletop position or chaturanga if it's in your practice. Then we'll lower the torso all the way down. Then we'll reach the tailbone towards the heels and then inhale up to cobra, or you can lift the legs for upward facing dog. And then exhale, lower the knees, and then pull back into downward facing dog. Make sure you're firming those upper arms in towards the ears. Then we'll step the feet up to the top of the mat, in between the hands. Inhale, lift the torso halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up and around. Exhale the hands to heart center. Take a few breaths here in mountain pose. Hopefully you're starting to feel that heat a little bit more, especially in the core area. And then we'll go ahead and do some standing poses next. So go ahead and turn to the side of your mat. We're going to step the feet 3 to 4 feet apart, sorry. And we're going to pick up the left heel, rotated out away from us. We're going to pick up the right toes and rotate them out in front of us. Our pelvis is pointing towards the upper left corner of our mat. We're going to lock our pelvis in using our hands on our hips, and we're going to twist the torso, just the torso, back to the long side of the mat. And this helps with our hip alignment for our warrior two and some of our other poses. So we're going to take a nice inhale here. And then we're going to exhale, bend that right knee. We'll lift the arms into a T position. So we want to make sure that our weight is even between both of our feet here. So we want the outer edge of the left foot sealed, and we want our right ankle tracking just beneath our right knee. We're going to spread across the collarbones here and gaze over that middle finger or the second finger. And we'll flip that right palm to face the sky. We'll gently rest the left fingertips on the thigh or the calf behind us. Then we'll tip the torso back towards our back leg for reverse warrior. Inhale, come back up. You can straighten that right knee, turn the toes so they're parallel with the left foot, and then you can step the feet together, lower the arms, give everything a little shake. Then we'll step the feet apart once again for the other side. This time we're going to pick up the right heel and move it away just a tiny bit. Pick up the left toes, rotate them out. Again, this time our pelvis is pointing towards the back right corner of our mat. We're going to lock our pelvis in and twist our torso
back towards the long edge of the mat. We'll take a nice big inhale and then exhale, bend that left knee. And we're going to lift the arms into a T. So again, we want to make sure the outer edge of the right foot is flat on the mat. Our left ankle is right beneath our left knee. And we're gazing down that middle finger of the left hand. And we'll flip the left palm to face the sky and bring the torso back for reverse warrior. So you can rest that right hand either on the thigh or the calf, just avoid the knee area. You don't want to be leaning on it either. It's just kind of a gentle, just with the very tips of the fingertips. We'll inhale, come back up to center, straighten that left knee, bring the feet parallel. Then you can step the feet together, shake the legs out, and then we'll go ahead and take a seat for our abdominal work that we're going to do. So you want your feet flat on the mat, about anywhere from 1 to 2 feet away from your butt. We're going to sit up nice and tall. So just like we did earlier, just pretending we've got a string pulling the crown of our head up towards the sky. We're going to inhale here and then exhale, and we're just going to lean our torsos back. So you can keep your hands grasping the backs of your thighs behind your knees. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. Make sure you keep the torso nice and long. And then we'll inhale, come back up to seated position. Next, we're going to take it one step further. You can always stay with the first stage. So don't feel like you need to go to the next level, especially because it's pretty early this morning and your body might still be waking up a little bit. We're going to inhale and then we're going to exhale. Lean the torso back. You could lift the toes just a tiny bit off the mat, or you can lift the legs parallel to the mat. Feel free to extend the arms if you'd like, or you can keep them behind the knees. Shaking is okay. Then we'll inhale, lower the legs down, sit up nice and tall. Take a couple breaths here. And then we'll take one more inhale. Exhale, lean back any amount. You can bring the shins parallel to the mat. You could straighten the legs if you'd like. You can extend the arms if you'd like, or you can keep them on the backs of the thighs. Remember to breathe here. Then exhale, lower everything back to the mat. And then we'll keep the feet where they are. We're going to take our hands and we're going to place them behind us underneath our shoulders. And we're going to do a reverse tabletop. So you might have to pull your heels a little closer to your butt. We're going to inhale and then exhale, lift the hips up to the sky. You want to squeeze the thighs together. Don't clench your butt. We'll exhale, lower back down. So again, if your wrists bother you, you can always do a fist on the mat instead. Also feel like it takes me a little while to figure out my alignment. I think last time my wrists were not under my shoulders like I was hoping. So it does take a little adjustment that you might have to do to make it work for you. We're going to do this 2 more times. So we'll inhale and then exhale, lift the butt up towards the sky. So you want this to actually be like the power in your legs. You don't want to be clenching your butt muscles. Exhale, lower down. We're just trying to open up our hip flexors because they got quite the workout during our abdominal work. And we'll go one more time here. Inhale and then exhale, lift the torso up. You can also extend the feet out in front of you. Exhale, lower everything down. And then we're just gonna do one bridge pose as we lay down. If you've got a block, feel free to grab it. If not, that's okay. So we'll keep our feet so that they're underneath our knees. We're gonna lay back on our backs. If you've got the block, go ahead and place it between your thighs. Place the hands flat on the mat. Take a nice big inhale and then exhale, and we're gonna lift the butt up towards the sky or the hips up towards the sky. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Press through the arms on the mat. Press in the heels. You can actually lift the toes up off the mat. Make sure you're engaging the leg muscles. And then exhale and lower everything down. And then we'll just pull the knees into the chest. Rock from side to side if you'd like. Or you can do some knee circles if you'd like. Whatever your body needs, or if there's any tension in your low back, kind of see what feels better for you right now. And then we're going to go ahead and sit up for Shavasana. So we'll extend the legs out in front of us. We have a couple options for the arms. So with the legs, just allow the feet to splay open however is comfortable. You can leave the arms out at a 45-degree angle, or if you'd like a little bit more stretch across the collarbone, especially if you do a lot of computer work, you could actually make cactus arms or goalpost arms instead. The main focus is to find what is most comfortable for you and your body to stay in this pose for a few moments. You want to be comfortable and relaxed enough that you can allow your practice to integrate into each of your cells. And it's really challenging and difficult to do that when you're fidgeting because you're not comfortable. So if you have any low back tightness, you might want to put a bolster or pillows or a blanket underneath your knees. You could also place your feet the width of the mat and lean the knees in towards each other if you've got some low back tightness. So maybe give those a try and see if they help if you've got any tightness there. Just settle into the mat here, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out of the pose. You can begin to lengthen your inhales and your exhales. Roll over to your right side. Take a couple breaths here. Then you can bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Maybe close your eyes, bring your hands together at heart center. So I encourage you to take some time to reflect and discover what you desire. And hopefully during your practice today, you've built up some fire and some heat to take action on those dreams that you have, to take action to make this world a better place. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Sorry, this morning. The compassion, the light, and the love in me honors the compassion, the light, and the love in you. Thank you for joining me this morning. Namaste.